You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Speed, endurance, desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim, to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
Welcome to the Three-Dimensional Services Group Muscle Car Challenge from the streets of Detroit. Doesn't get any better than this. But Scott Goodyear joining me this weekend. It's a real challenge, a street circuit. Tougher than Lime Rock, tougher than many of the courses we go to.
Anytime you go to a street circuit, especially a new street circuit, there's a lot to be learned, and we're watching here these last couple of days, and I will tell you that a lot of drivers are overextending the boundaries here, but it's going to take patience to be able to finish this race and not end up against the wall. Remember, it's the highlight here at Detroit, but you're also running for a championship.
Well, Thomas Merrill took the championship lead, our current champion after Lime Rock, and Matos is still in the hunt, but it's the youngsters, the likes of Connor Zillage, Evan Slater, and many more, all snapping up their heels. But will they be patient around these streets? We'll find out. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with all the action.
I'm Richard Petty, and you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor, give Clean Harbors a call.
How good is this? Look at this view from Losowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
We turn 140 mile an hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the VBox HD2 system.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Here we are on the false grid with our Motul Pole Award winner, a driver we've been talking about for a few seasons here. But come on in here, Connor, because here you are. Well, you got to get a shot of this, Joe. Look at this. Racing with the Chevrolet Camaro at this Chevrolet event. We couldn't have written a better script, and here you are at the pole in probably the most important race we run all year to be pole position.
Yeah, most definitely with that. Pole position is going to be super important here. It's going to be tough to pass in the race. So start on pole, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it out front and keep my Silver Hair Racing Chevrolet up front in the Chevrolet Grand Prix. So can't wait to get out there and get this race underway. It's going to be a long 60 minutes here at this street course. I mean, it's super narrow out there, and it's a tough racetrack, so minimizing mistakes and keeping it in between the concrete walls is going to be crucial. So looking forward to it, and hopefully we can keep it out front.
Now, something that you need to be aware of, this is kind of a rough track. I think I saw that you had over 10 laps on your tires. They have to race on their qualifying tires. That's more laps than we usually see. Usually you're trying to be under 5, but with the race being kind of to 60 minutes, was that part of your strategy?
Not really necessarily. I mean, we caught traffic out there on the first lap, and I didn't really get a clean lap until around lap 9 or 10. So, unfortunately, not by strategy, but it ended up working out for us. So, just super happy to put this car on the pole. My first pole position was Silver Hair Racing, and I know how hard all these guys work. My crew chief Jeff and all the guys back at the shop, they put in a lot of effort and give me a really fast race car to come out here and do these things. So, just thankful for the opportunity, and hopefully we can keep it out front and get ourselves our second win of the year.
Nice. And Connor Zilic, I got to mention, though, it's not your first pole in the Big Machine Vodka TA2 series, but it's your first pole position with Silver Hair Racing.
Yeah, I've got one pole before, but my first with the team, so this one's special.
Nice. I love it. Now, I got to show you something here real quick because this is just so cool. This Chevrolet Corvette is our pace car. You can see that the driver did some great branding here with the Chevrolet Detroit GP, the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series, and then three-dimensional services group right there on this beautiful Bowman Chevrolet Corvette. The NowickiAutosport.com Corvette, love having that here at a Chevrolet event, and with Tony Perella being a Corvette man, he's loving it too. But we're going to walk up because this starting grid here for qualifying is basically a story about our top young guns. So we talked to Connor Zilic there. Then another three-dimensional services group, Camaro here, being driven by Austin Green. This is Austin Green's first ever street race. And then here he is second, just a couple tenths of a second off of the pole. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's a neat little track. But like you said, I've never been on a street course. So yesterday we struggled a lot. And, we made a lot of changes, and just can't thank everybody at three-dimensional service group, Doug Peterson. This is their home race, so I'm glad to start in the front for our team and hopefully go get a win.
Does it put extra pressure on you to be the most up front of the three-dimensional services group yellow Camaros out here?
No, absolutely, and in front of GM and everybody, to have two Chevys on the front row is really special. So hopefully we can just stay out of all the trouble and finish the race.
Nice. I love it. And like I said, this is a Chevrolet event. We're here in Detroit, Motor City. But the war that's been going on for about 100 years here in Detroit is Ford versus Chevy. And that's what this is here with the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series. Got two Chevys up front, but then the third is Brent Cruz in the first Ford Mustang. So now here you are in Detroit, running a Ford with Nitro Motorsports, Franklin Road Apparel, and, it's funny. Most people are pretty excited to be at the sharp end of the grid, but you're disappointed to be in third.
Not so much. I mean, I feel like we have a good starting spot for where we're at. I think we have a really good race car. I think I had enough to be a little bit better, but super excited for this race. It's a pretty long race, and we have two chances at it. So it'll be interesting. There'll be a lot of fall off, and I'm sure it'll be a great race.
Nice. I love it. Well, there's Brent Cruz. We're going to move up here to our next three-dimensional services group. Our TA2 champ from a few years ago, Mike Skeen. He was with Stevens Miller Racing in his championship. He's doing kind of a limited run here with us in the TA2 series, but still doing really well in the points, signing autographs, which we love. But Mike Skeen, of these front runners, you probably have the most street course experience. And in your experience, do you want to be up front right away, or do you just kind of want to keep the front runners within sight and then wait for the last 10 laps?
I mean, you can plan for any race, but it never goes to plan. So you take what you can get. For sure, being up front is helpful and trying to keep the car clean, but you can always get dive bombed from behind. So we'll just try to keep a head on the swivel and stay out of trouble for the first 30 minutes or so, and then go to the race.
Nice. I love it. Mike Skeen, good luck out there. Have fun. Then the next three-dimensional services group car, Rafa Matos, the number 88, a two-time TA2 champion, Rafa Matos, street course here in Detroit with three-dimensional services group. Can it get any better than this?
It doesn't get much better than that. It's a very important weekend for three-dimensional service group. The headquarters is from Michigan, and we have a lot of guests. We have 3 cars in the top 5, so we're expecting to have a good race. And Doug is also very excited. He's been very fast all weekend, so good times for us.
Nice. I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think maybe I'm live now also on the Jumbotron, so thank you. Hi, welcome. This is our fan walk, grid walk here at the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series. I think we're about to get going here in just a little bit, so thank you for joining us. We are going to walk down here now, if you don't mind, Joe. Sorry, I don't want you to hurt yourself on these cars, and don't want you to hurt the cars either. But we're going to come up here and make our way up to the front because we've got a great start command. But Darren Mock, who's coming into this race 6th in points. Look out for Darren Mock. Then Ben Mayer's been here, 14 years old. He's had a TV crew following him around this whole time, so he's been doing great. He's in the other silver hair Chevy Camaro. Then Bacon had an off in our qualifying, and they got the car back up and running. He looks like he's running well, so he's thanking his crew right there. They worked really hard. It's difficult when you qualify in the morning and race just hours later. Adrian Lostowski, look for him. He's really fast out here on these street courses. Nathan Hearn here, all the way from Australia, showing us a lot of speed. He was at the top of the qualifying here in a little bit, but then got pushed back just from everybody finding their speed. Robert Nowaker III back with us here with Nitro Motorsports. Look for him. And then we've got Dylan McIvern here, Thomas Annunziata. But, Jonathan, I'm going to send it back up to you and Scott Goodyear back up in the booth. Thank you, gentlemen.
So we've got a good idea now of what is happening before they go out. But let's give you an idea of what they're about to face. Alongside me, Jonathan Green, is Scott Goodyear, the perfect man to have by your side when it comes to Detroit, Michigan and racing around the streets, because you've done it. This, though, is a new track. It's tricky.
It very much is. You know, it's a city circuit, as we know, but 90-degree turns on this course versus Belle Isle, which had a lot of weaving turns. So, as you can see, going down the long back stretch now, 7/10 of a mile all the way from turn 2 to turn 3. That's where we'll do the start for today's race and restart. So, on that long stretch, I'll be watching out for going into turn 3, no doubt. Now, a U-turn that we got, and that turn 4 is very cool because it's very narrow, and you get to see the Detroit River at the same time. This is where turns 6 and 7 is a ski jump. A lot of problems we've had going through there, as you know. This turn 8 and turn 9, very bumpy, but this course is going to have no room for error, and patience is going to be the key, Johnny.
Yeah, 6 and 7 is the one to look at. That's been where Indy and Trans Am have had their problems in practice so far. We're looking across to your home of Canada, across the Detroit River, and to Windsor in the distance here. Are you homesick?
I am a little bit. Just across that river is the best place for coffee, called Tim Hortons.
There you go. Well, in terms of getting the coffee right was Connor Zilic. He takes pole with a 1:13.7, the only man in there. Austin Green alongside him, Brent Cruz and Mike Skeen, Rafa Matos and Thomas Merrill. Two interesting combinations. They fought for the championship last year. They're both on the third row, And Annunziata, he's been one to watch this year. He starts on row 4. Dylan McIvern, Nowaker, good result at Lime Rock. Nathan Hearn said he could have been pole in that 29 had it not been curtailed. He will be coming through, the Australian. Lostowski lines up on row 6. Caleb Bacon, he caused the red flag in qualifying. He starts in the 6th row. Then Ben Mayer, the youngster, and another youngster, Darren Mock. Goikberg from Canada, Josh Sargé, Marks, Jade Buford. Lots to talk about with Buford. We'll talk about it in a moment. Thad Moffitt, first time on a street circuit, the grandson of Richard Petty, Barry Bowes, from Austin, Texas, on row 10. And a little further down, Doug Peterson. What a day for him and the Three-Dimensional Services Group. He is the sponsor of this event, that company doing a heck of a job. Tom Sheehan, Jim Gallagher, Matt Perrant, Ty Young, Michelle Abate, the only female for Ghost Energy in the race. Bruce Raymond, Luke Rumberg, Evan Slater, and Daniel Suarez did do practice. He won't take part in the race. That's where we should be. Let's go to Ben.
Well, so excited to be here with Keith Shane, the CFO of Three Dimensional Services Group, here all over the greater Detroit area to deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Well, we're gratified and just excited to be here to welcome race fans everywhere on behalf of the Three Dimensional Services Group back to the streets of Detroit. We're very, very excited, and I hope everybody else is too. Let's hear it. Drivers, start your engines.
CFO of Three Dimensional Services Group, just up the road a ways, and some 500 employees involved in that company. We got a good chance to have a closer look at their factory over the last few days, so very pleased to say that was a really interesting trip we had with both Keith and Doug Peterson. So thank you for that, and thank you for putting on this Detroit Grand Prix for us, this Muscle Car Challenge 2, of course, because it's a doubleheader. And that's a really good, important point, Scott. We've got a race today, and it's all very well going hell-bent for leather, but you've got to do it again tomorrow, so you've got to be careful on the machinery.
And really first time for the Trans Am drivers to have 2 races in one weekend. So we saw that a little bit just in qualifying this morning, because there was an opportunity for a driver to have to do some repair.
Beautiful scene here as we look down on General Motors and Chevrolet here. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with all the action from our challenge after this.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than Three Dimensional Services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust Three Dimensional Services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. Three Dimensional Services. Prototype, production, proven.
We're at a commercial break.
Welcome back to the streets of Detroit. Yes, we're in Motor City, and what an ancestral home this is for the cars that you are looking at. This is where Chevrolet began. This is where the Ford Motor Company is, and so many others, Buick, Oldsmobile, you name it. And of course, Trans Am dating back to 1966. So this very much is, as John Claggett described it, a Super Bowl for Trans Am, and a real treat to be on the Indy calendar. Absolutely fantastic to be here. I think you're going to enjoy this circuit as we head down the Jefferson Straight. This is actually where the start-finish will be. We decided for safety that we'll start down this back straight rather than at the start of the start-finish. 2 pace laps in all, and so plenty of time to get the tyres up to temperature, and more importantly the brakes here, because heavy braking into 3, and that is going to be crucial here as we go down the Jefferson Avenue. On normal days it's about 30 miles an hour down there, past the Marriott, past various different churches, and it's a very scenic place. As you can see from the V-box on the bottom of your onboard, we'll be on board with the Hawk performance of Adrian Lostowski. You can see where he is on track coming up to this very crucial turn 3, and Scott, this is where it's all going to happen.
You know, we've seen that even in the IndyCar session here with the well-experienced drivers, you know, with downforce in the cars. 3 is the hot zone right now. Number 1, number 3, but I think 3 is going to be the difficult thing. All the drafting going down the straightaway and heavy braking down there, that's what drivers have been talking about, and bumps everywhere.
I'm delighted we'll be going down the Franklin Road with the Franklin Road on board, because Evan Slater had a prang at 6 and 7. We talked about it earlier. He also came off track too early, and he's been put right to the very back. The car's okay, but he starts right at the back. So we'll be on board with Evan Slater, who is absolutely one of the hot shoes of this series right now. And we welcome our viewers on MAV TV. We are live from Detroit and looking forward to what should be a cracking first of 2 races. There's your championship points at the moment. Thomas Merrill leads from Brent Cruz, just a few points between them, and it's actually 3 points. Connor Zilic is in 3rd position. Rafa Matos in 4th. He dropped from 1st to 4th after the Lime Rock race last weekend, and Evan Slater is in the top 5. So, plenty to run for. The likes of McAvern, Annunziata, and Nathan Hearn, those are the guys to watch. Likewise, Austin Green. He has had a good run so far. Let me give you the story so far, because at Sebring we started out at the end of February, early March, with Matos winning, and of course that was a real bounce back for him, having lost the championship narrowly to Merrill. Austin Green was 2nd, and Connor Mosack, racing currently in Xfinity, was 3rd. NOLA, we went to New Orleans. Cruz won his first race of the year. Nathan Hearn was 2nd, and Rafa Matos 3rd. Then we went on to Road Atlanta. Zilic got his first win for Silver Hair. Merrill was 2nd, and Rafa Matos 3rd. And last weekend at Lime Rock, Merrill took another win. Skeen was 2nd, and Annunziata, the young 16-year-old, was 3rd. So, plenty to play for, and what I love about this, Scott, we've got an unknown track, unknown data, and we've got the masters, if you will, in Merrill and Matos, older guys and Skeen, but then these youngsters, 14, 15, and 16, but they're holding their own.
They really are. I mean, they've got the ultimate speed. Do they have the patience? That's what I'm going to wait to see, because when you talk about the veterans here, especially with Matos, I mean, just so much experience behind him, road course experience, street course experience. It's really going to play down to patience for 2 things. It's going to be tires and brakes. If you're going to overheat your brakes and take the tires off the car, you're going to need something for the end of the race. I mean, we've got 60 minutes here. Are we going to see 60 minutes of green? I don't think so. There's going to be yellows, but you got to have something underneath you to drive at the end if you're going to be able to make a shot for the win.
Here's your first look at the start-finish. You see that strip there? That is the start-finish line, but that's the finish line only. We start on the back straight for safety, and then we hurtle down towards turn 3, and that is critical to remember. Obviously, it's a street circuit. There's not a lot of clean time. The IndyCars have done their bit. We've also got IMSA here as well. And now you start to see them forming up 2 by 2. That's the plan. And therefore, once everybody gets out of this turn 2, we should head towards the start, if it's all right, as a 2 by 2. And you are not allowed to leave that position until you cross the start-finish line. It's going to be harder for the guys at the back to get in that position. There's your start marshal right there on the right-hand side in the white shirt among that Chevrolet flag. Here they come. Some of the back markers go. The green flag waves though, and away we go, and it's a great start from the pole man as Zilic gets away, and Cruz has gone with him, his mate. So the 2 youngsters in flying form. The 3-dimensional services, all yellow cars. 1 trying to get into 3rd, but it's a little bit of a traffic jam through 3, but everybody safely through. What a great clean start, just what we wanted.
A little bit of room for 2 by 2 right now, but it's going to become very narrow here as we're going through 4. Watch this going down to 5, and this is a very tight section here, 5 left-hander, and then that 6 and 7 complex, it's single file only. Let's see what happens.
Nip and tuck through 4, past the Detroit Port Authority. Now we start heading back uphill. Here's that classic 6 and 7. That's where people get unsteady and start hitting the wall very easily there. Then the run down the Atwater Straight coming up as they dive into 8. Very tight through here, and then through 9. Hearn trying to make spots up. I knew he would be. And now here's turn 9, the final corner. Now we're on the front straight for the first time. But Zilic already building on that lead as he heads down to turn 1. Again, a nice funnel through here. You've got to get it right, though. You can't go on the bleed line for the pit exit, but as you can see, you sweep round down this left-hander, try to avoid the tyres there. Back up the hill to turn 2. Turn 2, crucial to get right the drive out of here because it's that long
straight away. You got to get the drive out of it. Make sure you have no problem selecting gears and hopefully get a bit of a draft. You see everybody going towards the inside of the racetrack because on the right is where all the boulevards come from all the other roads, and it's got little humps through there. So guys are in the middle to left-hand side of the racetrack coming down here into turn 3.
Plenty of action at turn 3 as always, and 2 big potholes in the middle of that. They've covered them up. But look at this, 3-way racing into 4. It's so narrow through there, but through they go. And this has been a nice clean start, but right now Zilic doing the business. Oh, we got to turn around.
Oh, Doug Peterson's
That's
around.
Doug Peterson, yeah. He's leading the Masters, of course, and of course this is a really important race to him. So special for the three-dimensional services group. I'm sure the entire 500-plus employers will be watching. Let's
see if he got a little bit of help.
Oh, he got a tap.
He did.
From Tommy Sheehan, unfortunately, in the 97.
Yep. So I'm sure the stewards will look at that, review that, because avoidable contact really in that situation.
So then, we are underway. 60 minutes the race time. No worries about tyres lasting. It is an abrasive track, especially on this new surface. The driver's talking about the fact that the asphalt, what you're looking at here, the regular road down the back straight, is fine for grip. But on the new surface where they've resurfaced it and kind of graded it a little bit, it actually is very, very abrasive on the tyres.
Well, very common in street circuits. They come along and they grind the racetrack to take out any of the high spots, especially for the single-seater cars like the Indy cars. Here we got somebody looking on the inside. You can make a move here on the inside. Barry Skeen's been doing a lot of work, and that was a corner that he just passed in previously with that. So he's actually hot to work here, making sure he's getting a couple cars in front of him. But the smoothness of the racetrack, yes, it's smooth in some places, but any street course you go to, you have multiple surface changes, multiple grip levels. Even in the middle of a turn, Johnny, actually you can get different grip levels, which makes the car really skip around. Now, in this section here, I call that the ski jump, right between turns 6 and 7. Seen a lot of cars, even Indy cars, go in there and do a lot of damage. So here we're coming into turn 8, left-hander. Pit entrance is on your right-hand side. Turn 9, all the drivers tell me, very bumpy. The second longest straight, if you will, but you want to get a good drive going down here to turn 1.
Nathan Hearn we're on board with, still currently 9th, but trying to make his way through. And as we stand, Connor Zilic taking it to them at 1:15.4, one of the fastest laps so far, but Rafa Matos has just gone quickest. Rafa in 3rd at the moment. The two-time champion with a 1:15.1, done the fastest lap of the race so far. But right now it's Zilic, Cruz, Matos, Green. Merrill in 5th place, the championship leader. Annunziata, then Skeen 7th, McAvern 8th, Hearn, Noaker the 3rd. Got a great result at Lime Rock. He's in 10th position, down to turn 3 again.
Yeah, look at Skeen. He's trying on the outside this time. Getting close.
Yeah, this is great stuff, and just what we wanted, a good clean start. And Annunziata under pressure right now, and you can see at the back of this group, Nathan Hearn in that Cube 3, number 29. The Australian has been absolutely on fire since he got here. He is the TA2 champion, but he was telling us he also is the champion of S5000, which is the single-seaters, and the Americans will all know about Formula 5000 of old. Well, Hearn is a champion in Australia and has won 4 of the 6 races around the streets of Australia, so highly confident about racing streets.
And I'm watching Skeed right now in that yellow car, sticking his nose in a little bit just to make sure he wants Thomas to know that he's there. Now this is what he wants to do, a good drive up the hill. He's going to get it. He's reserved his spot already, nicely, cleanly done. He is on the march.
Well, this is a really tantalizing race because we were wondering where you could overtake. When I spoke to Evan Slater earlier this morning, he reckoned that turn 1, turn 3, which we're coming up through now, and of course turn 8 would be the possible overtakes. Now look at this side-by-side action, nothing asked, nothing given. What a move. Dylan McAvern under pressure. Robbins Racing, they say, Scott. This doesn't happen in Indy cars.
Well, it does, but it doesn't turn out well.
No, it doesn't. Well, they are absolutely taking paint off each other as they dive into the Port Authority Detroit turn 4 and then back on the power. It's just a blip on the power before you go blind again over this 6 and 7. Hearn getting out of shape there, but somehow holding it together, but that's just his style. Down the Atwater straight. Oh, somebody's got damage to the car there, and it's
tires
Hearn.
down. Yeah, tires down from rubbing
Yeah, he's
before.
got a puncture. He should pull straight off, and he does. Into the pits goes Nathan Hearn. And the Aussie is out in the Cube 3 very early in this race with some 53 minutes to go. Our first major incident, and you could see it's a flat tire on the front left.
And if that happened in the back section of the racetrack, he'd be a hindrance to everybody, and plus he'd be slow.
So, action all aplenty. Nathan Hearn, though, is out of the race. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Yeah, you can see it's a puncture. It doesn't look as though he's got much suspension problem.
The rim's broken.
Will he get him back out, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll get him back out, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he'll be right up.
The action is fast and frenetic. We saw Misha Goikberg, there he is in the number 10, making a move. Misha currently in 12th position, just behind Caleb Bacon. Caleb Bacon, you were saying, did cause the red flag in qualifying, but now we can see the work going on. I think it is. That's the Miller Racing team doing their work. But yeah, Caleb Bacon got out, no problem for the car itself.
Just a little bit of damage in the bodywork in the back. He got that fixed. So now you got one new tire on the left front here, and he'll be back out on track. And what he's hoping for is a yellow to bunch everybody back up again.
Well, he hasn't lost a lap. The important thing is, I think he's gonna come out midfield, but he's not going to lose a lap. So that's good news for him. As we look at Brent Cruz, the number 70 for the first time, down the Jefferson long straight. And as you mentioned those ripples, I was talking to Thomas Merrill about them. You see them now. Watch as he goes from street to street. Literally the car rolls through this straight. So sometimes it kind of upsets the car, especially if you're going to try and overtake. There you see a good example of it.
And all the drivers have to find the part of the track that works for their car underneath the braking, underneath the bumps. I mean, you can only need to be over sometimes 6 or 8 inches, Johnny, and all of a sudden you find a smooth place on the race course. And when I was talking to Brent Cruz this morning, he said that's the key thing, is finding the smooth areas under braking. And he noted that turn 3 is definitely the place it's the bumpiest, and you're going to feel it the most because you're going the quickest, and you hopefully want to make that pass going on the inside of somebody that you've been following.
I'm on Ethan Slater watch because he started at the back. He's up to 19th already. I knew he would be a factor. He was very confident. He said, I'll just have to side my way through, and that's exactly what he's doing.
So that shot there gives you a little bit of hint of the elevation change that we have here. We have that elevation change from 4 to 5, and then 5 up through 6 and 7. But even coming here 8 to 9, it doesn't look like a lot in television, but when we walked it, remember, it's really dramatic. And also the surface changes that we talked about just a little bit ago, so much of that going on, that back section complex.
Oh, big off! Is that? No, that's the 86, and that is Mike Skeen, of all people, one of the most qualified. Hearn took avoiding action. He went down the runoff. There you see him. He's got back on, but there's Skeen still stuck, and that's bound to bring a safety car out because Skeen is not moving anywhere, and it looks as though he's trying to pull it back. He's got power, but he's got suspension issues, and it looks like a puncher, and obviously big damage to the front. All this happening at turn 1, 50 minutes to go. And one of the most experienced drivers, especially at street circuits, has pulled into a position now he has got going again. So you can see what happened to Mike Skeen, and Nathan Hearn in the background taking avoiding action, but that was a big off for Mike Skeen at turn 1. So drama indeed. Skeen, one of the guys most likely to win this race, but as you can see, he's crabbing his way down the track, and he's got 1.7 miles now to get back.
You know, he's going so fast in that turn. I'm just wondering if he had an issue with the brakes. Maybe overheated them because he was going through the field so quickly, because he was carrying a lot of speed into that turn, no doubt. Or the tire had already gone down ahead of time, and he wasn't able to brake, and that's what carried the speed into the tire barrier.
He slammed the right side of that car. Now, he's doing a good job, actually, of keeping the car straight and staying off the race line. We're under caution now, no surprise there. Connor Zilich, Cruz, Matos, and Green. That's how we stand. Merrill in 5th. Dylan McAvern 6th. Annunciata in 7th, Noaker and Lostowski in 9th position. Goikhberg rounding out the top 10. So drama indeed, and when it comes to drama, who else to turn to but Ben Sissel?
All right, so I'm here in the pits with Joe Stevens. Nathan Hearn was moving up the pack, and then it looks like he got kind of a hit on the side with his wheel, so he came in quick change. But Joe Stevens, now what's the strategy?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Q3 Berryman products, Ford Mustangs had a rough race thus far. It looks like a little contact with either the wall or another competitor. Clean, hard racing caused that tire to go down in pit lane, but unfortunately we're a ways back. But I trust Nathan will get everything that he can out of it.
Nice. Well, hold on. Now stay with me here, gentlemen, because I want to show you this. You can see what we're talking about. He had to come in right away because this Bassett wheel got hit, and you've got to hit these wheels really hard to do this kind of damage. Bassett makes some great wheels, as do these Pirelli P0s, but you can see there's a puncture right there. I don't know how he was able to limp it in, but he's back out there, and if you know anything about Nathan Hearn, an angry Nathan Hearn is a very good driver, so watch him to move up through the field. Jonathan Scott, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thanks, Big B. Good work, as always, and that was a perfect illustration of what can go wrong, but we're back on board with Nathan Hearn, and it's all systems go, yet again, under caution. So exactly what you said, Scott. He needed this caution to not put himself back into contention, but certainly to get himself in a position where he's on the same lap, he's not looking for position, he's got work to do, but he's still in the race.
Well, and very important just for everybody that thinks they have some speed but maybe didn't have a good qualifying. It bunches the field together now, so you have not as far to travel to try to get to the car in front of you. That's the positive. The downside of any time you have a full course caution is, we know the saying, yellows breed yellows. So, I mean, if that's the situation, we'll wait to see what happens.
Well, I mentioned Evan Slater. Well, he is, as we said, making his way through, and this is a good opportunity for him. We're on board here with the Franklin Road Evan Slater car, the number 6. And as we mentioned, Evan Slater had an incident in qualifying at turn 7, slammed into the wall, turned the car around. Not too much damage. I went and looked at what they were working on, and I spoke to the team owner from Franklin Road Apparel, and that, of course, is Ken Twaits, and he said the car's okay. And Evan, of course, affable as ever, and also a young gun, so he doesn't care. He said, throw it on, I'll side my way through. And here he is, 17th at the moment.
Cool. Tire's going to be a little bit cooler now. If you're starting to overheat them just a little bit, take a chance for the brakes to cool off a little bit. All this is a little bit of unknowns. Guys have driven that, obviously, Nashville, and they understand a little bit of what the car needs on a street circuit like this. I'm going to hasten to say this is probably a little bumpier race course than Nashville was, and some elevation changes that we see here. And the drivers just don't have an understanding about how the car is going to react in the last 10, 15 minutes of the race. And as a driver myself, you always want to have something underneath you that if you're shooting for a position, or especially if the win, if you're coming off a full course caution, you've got tires and brakes underneath you to be able to go accomplish that.
It's going to be an interesting restart. Zilic a winner already this season, Cruz a winner, and Matos a winner. That's the top 3 for this restart. And then Austin Green, who's also been a big player in the championship so far. Really, really important to get the restart right. And again, they'll restart single file down the back straight. And again, that'll be the run into 3. I was talking to Thomas Merrill about that. He's a little nervous about just how easy it's going to be to get into turn 3. That beautiful C8 Corvette taking us around the streets of Detroit. Yep, we're in Motown, where we belong, because this is where the motor car from America came from, and this is where the industry has had so many ups and downs and great years, some fallow years, but the likes of GM and Ford and so many other manufacturers have managed to keep going, and here we are in 2023 celebrating Chevrolet and celebrating what is a fascinating battle between these two youngsters, who I'm sure there's a lot of IndyCar owners and people from Chevrolet, Toyota even, looking at these youngsters. We've got some already signed to contracts with junior NASCAR teams, and that's what's so exciting about current day Trans Am, is that we've got youngsters now who are using their time to do street circuits. Remember, NASCAR are going to Chicago. That was why Daniel Suarez came here, just to do a bit of practice. We had rumor that Chase Elliott might pop over because he's not racing this weekend, but that is why Trans Am has suddenly gone to the forefront, because these cars aren't that dissimilar to NASCAR, and it's a great opportunity to do road courses and street courses, because that's where Trans Am is going.
And not only the bumps that are on the race circuit, but obviously these guys are going in NASCAR to Watkins Glen and natural terrain street circuit. But now you're coming to actual racetrack with walls all the way around it. And yes, it's like driving an oval because the wall is very definite. But, you know, as we see the drivers warming up the tires, just heard a call from race control. It'll be green next time by.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, Jonathan, it's going to be on the back stretch there, and that's going to take that run down to turn 3. But just getting the spatial awareness of where your car is on these street circuits and the bumps and understanding that before they head to Chicago. So I'm going to be watching that one. That's going to be a fun race to watch.
Here we go then, down the Jefferson Avenue. Everybody line astern, and this is where it becomes critical for the likes of Matos and Cruz behind Zilic. Yeah. Zilic just 16 years of age, but he's got bags of experience. You forget that sometime. A decade of racing. He slows them all down. It's up to him to control the race. Green flag waves. Away we go again. Everybody's got to stay line astern until they cross that start-finish zone, and away goes Zilic. He got away well. Cruz is not going to overtake, I don't think, coming into 3 here.
Just park your car on the inside.
He does that.
I think he put a fender on him.
Yeah, I think he just pushed him a little there. We'll see what they think of that. On board with Lostowski as he exits 3, heading towards the funnel like 4. And there you see it for yourself. But yes, he's got away with it. Zilic holds the lead. Here comes Cruz at 4. He's going for it. Cruz goes side by side and he's taken Zilic out. Out goes Zilic into the tyres. And, well, it's good that I've got a race director alongside me, because what's your thought?
I was going to say there's not enough room in turn 4. It's one of the narrowest turns on there, and definitely those tires are going to turn around and catch you. You know, these guys are friends. I saw them standing next to each other after qualifying.
Oh, and another one. That's the car number 14. No.
Yeah,
Matt Perrin. That's Matt Perrin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it looks like the left front looks like it's down. He's either got damage or maybe he lost a tire, which actually put him in there.
So Zilic has got back out and going, so that's good news. Zilic is going, and that might come into consideration if they consider Cruz's move a little too heavily. But there's Justin Marks, first time we've seen him. Ty Young just getting overtaken there into turn 1. So drama indeed here with 41 minutes to go. But I turn to my learned friend here, because he is used to looking after teenagers week in, week out, because he, of course, is the race director of FR and F4 for Tony Perella. And to see 2 teenagers going at it at the front of Trans Am, little bit of a heavy work there, I thought, by Cruz. I think he may well suffer some penalization. Let's have a look at what you saw here.
Yeah, and you got to know the turn that you're going into. Okay, if you're up beside him, really not maybe far enough, but you know, just that little bump that he gave there actually ended up putting him off into the tires. So just not enough room, not enough radius to get through there too wide in one of the most narrowest turns around here. So it'll be interesting to see what the stewards think about that when they review it.
Well, I know that Matos will be there. Matt Perrin coming in now. Yeah, I know that Matos saw everything there. He's currently in second place chasing Cruz, and so will be smiling quietly to himself that he may have a chance here in second place at the moment.
Yeah, the old master, patience, kick the tires underneath the car, make sure he's got brakes for the end there.
Yeah, and look who's in third, Thomas Merrill. So here we go. Gloves are off. The 2 championship contenders from last year, second and third right now, and the young gun that is Brent Cruz leading the way, but he could be in trouble. Into turn 1. Zilic making his way through, bit by bit. Hearns back in. What's happened to her? Moffitt is in the 43. First street race for Thad Moffitt. Another turnaround. This time Michelle Abate has got the ghost going backwards. She's in the 30 and she wants to get out of that as quickly as possible. Now this isn't recommended.
Well, actually, she didn't want to go down and turn the car around. Actually, where she was, nobody would have seen her. She could have come back a little bit further, obviously, and then got right into the opening of turn 2. She was doing such a great job backing up. But actually, I applaud that, because if she went down to try and turn the car around, somebody could have come around there through turn 1.
And she's visible, more importantly.
Yeah, giving her some more line of sight.
Here's what happened. Yeah,
she
got lucky not hitting the wall, but she was backwards.
Yeah.
Nobody else touched it, and then she decided, right, I'm not going to go that way because I'm going to blindside somebody.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
She
did
didn't
the right
touch
thing.
the outside wall. I think she clipped the inside wall there, which spun the car around.
Cruz continuing to lead. Matos stays with him, and these 2 just pulling away slightly from Thomas Merrill in third position as they head out of turn 2 and down the Jefferson Road one more time. Who else are we keeping an eye on? Austin Green 4th, Annunziata 5th. Dylan McAvern, bags of experience. Dylan in 6th place. Noah 7th. Goikberg now up to 8th. Lostowski 9th. And Caleb Bacon in 10th position. Looks as though Moffitt's issue is terminal because he's not moving. Oh, they are trying to get him going. Okay, away he goes. The 43, the famous 43. Grandad, I'm sure, will be watching. Richard, I hope you're enjoying it.
There's the shot that we can see the elevation change there, and that's where we just saw the incident happen. Now you're climbing back up the hill through that 6 and 7. You can see the bump there. We call it the ski jump, talking to some of the IndyCar guys, because if you're just off 6 or 8 inches, boy, the car hits the ground and it just lifts you up and off you go.
I have to say I've been marveling at the as Annunziata makes up a move. Nicely done on the 89 of Austin Green. So Annunziata up to 4th position. Thomas Annunziata, another one of the young guns, and got pole position at NOLA and then stalled it on the exit. Well, he didn't stall it. There was an issue with the car, so managed to get it all the way back to 5th place. So, again, Annunziata is another man who is definitely due a good result, and we'll see if he can get it here as we go on board with Lostowski. Down that long straight again.
And you talked about getting the proper drive off turn 2 because you want to have a shot here.
Green's got problems, look.
Yeah.
Watch under braking here if Green's left front lights up with smoke, because it was a moment ago, and he's lost another position there, this time to the 17 of Dylan McAvoy.
Well, there's been a lot of bumping and rubbing, as you talked about. There you go. So you start rubbing a fender on some of these tires. We actually have seen a few tires go down so far already.
So that's not going to help him. That's just going to slow him down. And you see, he already lost 2 places, and it looks as though they're queuing up behind him to overtake. Misha Goikberg on the move. Noaker just behind. Yeah, it's almost as he accelerates. It's not under braking, it's under acceleration that we see the rubbing, as it were. Another overtake. Misha Goikberg, the Canadian. We've got a couple of Canadians here. Pettipas in the field as well. And, of course, Misha Goikberg, who's been a perennial member of the Trans Am fraternity. Yeah, and Goikberg's going to get him down the main straight.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to do. Just put a fender up there, let the driver ahead know that you're on your way, and start to work the outside inside. But then you got to get it done very quickly, because if you stick your fender in and just get to the rear of the car, you're not going to get past. You're going to end up turning around and then causing a collision like we've seen.
Down the back straight, on board with Lostowski. It's a great onboard, too, because you really see just how hard it is. I know it's a straight line, but they are bouncing and jumping up and down, literally down that straight as they dive into turn 3. And plenty of good stories. Skeen is out. Hearn had a puncture. He is back out there. And we continue to watch the move, if you will, of Evan Slater up to 16th place now and behind Barry Bowes. Misha Goikberg trying desperately now to see if he can get past the 89. And he's struggling on, I'll give him that. Lostowski, though, queuing up as well. So, we are in Detroit. We are in Trans Am round 5, and it's been a cracking start to the Motor City Challenge. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more. So it's intense, isn't it? And there's still 35 minutes left in this. And as you said, it's a risk and reward, isn't it? You want to fight hard. You want to be the racing driver that you truly are. But you know you've got another 100 miles tomorrow. The car's got to be good.
Well, this is where the car's changing too, Johnny, because the fuel's starting to burn off. The car's getting lighter. You feel a little bit better about it. Here we go. Just got to make that move on the inside if you can get that done.
Well, that's good work from Adrian Lostowski, runner-up in SGT a few years ago, took over to TA2 recently in the last season or so, and has just got better and better, the man from New York.
Yep, made that clean move on Austin Green, which is neat. You know, Austin's the son of David,
yeah,
you know, an Xfinity champion, and then his uncles Mark and Jeff also ran NASCAR, and he just came over to Trans Am, right? Because he's been running late model races for quite some time. So
Abate's still circulating, but as you can see, she's letting the crowd, as it were, the contenders going through, because she is quite some way back, having got sorted out after that incident at 1. But good to see her circulating. I was asking her this morning if she enjoyed the circuit, and she said, yeah, this is quite good fun. It's bumpy, it's very physical, and it's going to be a hard, long day. It's going to be hot. We're glad we're running in the morning, simply because it's going to get into the 90s for IndyCar later. But it's Cruz, Matos and Merrill, Annunziata in 4th, McAvoy 5th, Noaker in 6th place, Goikberg now 7th, Lostowski 8th, Bacon Green rounding out your top 10, Darren Mock in 11th place, Zilic now in 12th position. Annunziata under pressure from McAvoy. This is a good battle between these two. It's been raging on for the last few laps.
Always trying in turn 3. You got to get your car right up beside so you can really reserve the corner for yourself.
Whoa.
Look at all this nose to tail here.
Oh, and big time! Slater loses it at 3. And he almost went into the tunnel to Canada then.
Yeah, so his right front was damaged on the way in. So either the tire blew and he had no tire out there, or he already...
He's taken the net down, telling us that he's okay, but obviously the car not where he needs to be. And that is going to cause another safety car, I'm sure. So Evan Slater, who promised so much, had to start at the back and was coming through nicely. Got up to 16th, but now goes off at 3. Here's the battle for the front, and it's still Brent Cruz being hounded by the 2-time champion that is the Brazilian Rafa Matos. Spoke to Rafa earlier this morning, and he said, good to go. I'm ready. I've been fastest all weekend, and I would have been fastest had qualifying finished. So Rafa, with his tail up, And as you can see, we are under caution now. The Corvette just passing up in front of our commentary booth as everything slows down. We've got flagtronics now, so that's why we saw the cars slowing down, perhaps before we even called it. And you can explain what that does.
Yeah, and exactly what happens once you have an incident, and we're going to watch to see what happened here.
Whoa, I think he got a puncture.
That's what I said to you. Remember, the fender was already broken on the right front, and they either contacted the wall or the tire went, and that's absolutely what happened. Yep.
So, yeah, every car has got this flagtronic system. Here we go again. Here, that was a big off for poor old Slater. Oh, big spin.
Yeah, so now you're just a passenger, right? Yeah. You have no opportunity to steer the car, and that's why he was putting the net down. He knew he blew the tire on the way in, but all the other cars, back to the flagtronic systems that we now have in these cars, inside the car, they have that yellow light system, and they can see everything on their dash, and they know they've gone full course caution. Plus the boards that IndyCar has provided around the race course here. These guys get to see everything that's happening with knowledge very quickly, not just the flaggers.
Well, as you can see, we are under caution yet again. Brent Cruz leading this race from our two-time champion, Rafa Matos. But we're under caution for a simple reason. Sadly, Evan Slater has gone off at 3. But let's head down to the pit lane and see what the latest is with Ben Sissel.
Hey, I'm with Derek Jennings here, Franklin Road Apparel. Crew for Evan Slater. Looks like he just went hot down that long straightaway. What's the driver saying?
He said the brake pedal went to the floor. He said the brake started acting a little funny the lap before that. When he went down through there, he said it just went to the floor so he couldn't get it stopped.
Well, now, Derek, from my point of view, it looks like he's a little buried in the wall. Is he going to be able to get out of there?
I don't think so. I think they're going to have to tow it back. We're going to have some work to do.
Okay. He's going to have some work to do on Evan Slater's car. Look at this as we see Austin Green going out on the pits. He was having trouble with his left front tire. You see a little bit of smoke, but that might just be brake dust as he goes back out there. So, gentlemen, back up to you.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, and as you can see, Evan Slater making his way into the safety truck, and he's A-OK. He's a youngster. He'll recover well from that. And, of course, he's got another race tomorrow. But it looks to me as though, well, you tell me, that was a big off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like we're a little bit trying to understand whether the tire went off or, it looked like the car pulled very quickly. So did the brakes have an issue? But the car, it started to happen ahead of it before he got into the turn. Well, we knew that turn 3 would be a hot spot for this kind of drama. And look what he did to the tires. They've got some work to put those back. But we're going to be under safety for some time, really. And this is going to play into the hands of the likes of Cruz, Matos, and Merrill. And there's Cruz hitting the wall as well. So Cruz having some drama. And he said, you just heard his engineer there saying that a little bit of a brake issue, but that's surely going to play into Matos' hands. That's not what you want when you're leading the race. Well, in this situation here, the old experienced guy, as I call him, he won't like me saying he's old because he's obviously just in the middle of his career. But, I mean, for Matos, I think that he turns around, he looks at this and just goes, I'll just take the wait-and-see approach. He knows there's going to be more yellows like we have right now, and with all the experience he has, he only needs to lead the last lap. So, Cruz, Matos, Merrill, and Enciata has made his way brilliantly through to 4th position. McAvern now up to 5th. We were watching their battle a moment ago, so that continues. And then you've got the likes of Skeen, Slater, Perron, Moffitt, all having problems, and that's why they're 26 down to 30th. Suarez did not take part. He did practice. Good to see a NASCAR guy in action here. I think he was top 7 at one point. Certainly out-qualified his team owner. That'll be important to him. Hearn's back in the pits too. So Moffitt, and there's Perron. So all of them are under steam, as it were. Oh. So well, he's taken the yellow flag. I don't know if that's allowed, but Ben's going to find out. There we go. I hope the marshal's not. So that probably happened because the marshal was hanging out waving the yellow flag, and they got really close to the wall. So, And here we have a good look at this dual pit lane that IndyCar has employed here this weekend. So pits on both sides of the blue line. I love it. Ben Sissel, what a guy. Master in the pit lane, but also making sure that the race runs to... That's hilarious. Good stuff, Ben. So we're under caution here as the cars file through turn 3. Evan Slater has gone off, and as you can see, the safety cars are on track, and therefore that's why we're down at the speed we are. The Corvette now leading them around, the Bowman Corvette C8.
brand new, absolutely resplendent. It's been parked outside our hauler all weekend, and I've been taking a close look at it. Very nice indeed. I remember the Corvette at Belle Isle, and of course, those of you wondering, what is this circuit? Well, it's a brand new circuit, folks, yes. And I've got the perfect guy to talk about. The old Formula One used to come here, and IndyCar used to come here to the street circuits for many years. Then we moved to Belle Isle, and I don't know if you did both, but I know you were here in 91 doing IndyCar.
I came here, joined IndyCar full-time in 1990, and back in the kart series, ran here on the downtown circuit for 90-91. They went over to the Belle Isle in 92. In fact, the first year, I believe it was, first or second year, we had so much rain, it was a rain race, but all the transporters got stuck in the grass because it wasn't paved then. But over the years, I know that they invested about $20 million, Penske did, in Belle Isle, so they've left it a better place than when they went there.
Fair enough. Well, let's head down to Ben Sissel. He's got the latest down there, whether it's flags or people. What's going on, Ben?
Yeah, about 20 years ago, we had a street race, and Boris said was so close to the flagger stand. I can't remember the race, but it might have been here in Detroit with Paul Gentilozzi. His car grabbed the yellow flag, and we as Trans Am officials said that'll never happen again. And here we are back at the Detroit GP, and it happened again with Matt Parent. Matt Parent's wing brought this yellow flag. So we have a flagger out there without a yellow flag. Hopefully they have backup, which is just crazy. But then let's try to get somebody here from Nitro. Can you step down? I'm going to talk to you. I know that you're not with Brent Cruz, but your crew chief's over there. So Brent Cruz doing really well. He's our last Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series winner in the street course in Nashville, and now he's leading the race. What's he saying on the radio?
I'm on another car. He's saying a lot. He's telling them that how the car's working, and it's going really good. He's just trying to keep up the pace and the speed and everything like that.
And what a spectacle this three-dimensional services TA2 race here at Detroit is. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, sir. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying his weather as well, too.
Nice. Cool. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Brilliant work, Ben. Doing the flag marshalling himself. Yeah, let's see if we can get that marshal down and get his flag back to him, but I'm sure he'll have a backup. But the big news story for me, and let's not wrap over this, because Brent Cruz is leading this race under caution, but he hit the wall really heavily.
Yeah, a little grazing of the wall, and we've seen here now quite a few tires go down, so anytime that outer fender starts to rub against the tire itself and the sidewall, what have you, that could be a bit of an issue. But it was a graze of the wall. It didn't look like he pointed it in at all, so he should be okay. And certainly he will know how his car is feeling, just even on these formation laps that they're coming up and that are waiting here to go back to green. And as you mentioned before, the restart's going to be down on the backstretch where we did the initial start, and that's where the start and restart is taking place, and the checker flag is done over here on the pit straight, as they call it. But, when I talked to him after qualifying, it was very interesting just speaking to him. You're obviously just 15 in March and so focused and so mature for 15 years of age, but you could see the disappointment in him because he was looking over, he's saying, okay, I did not get the pole. He was a few tenths off, and he goes, I was just off a lap or two. And as you know, the session stopped early because of an issue on the track, but that's how driven this young man is, and I've been very impressed with him in having an opportunity to talk to him. And they were looking at the F4 program a little earlier in the year because he wanted to get so much more experience, single-seaters also. So here's a young man that's certainly going to be doing this for a long time and have a brilliant career ahead of him.
You talk about that. This race used to be the Motor City 100 for Trans Am back in the day when Tommy Kendall and many others were making their way. Willie T, you name it.
Ron Fellows.
And what is interesting is that Brent Cruz is already a TRD development driver. He's been spotted by Toyota in NASCAR. They kind of keep an eye on him. They're bound to be watching him today while they're in St. Louis in NASCAR. But that's the point, is that we've got these young drivers, and already Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford are all looking very closely at all these youngsters and sometimes saying, okay, we're going to put him under our wing. We're going to help you out. Come and Brent was telling me that he works with some of the NASCAR drivers, works out with them as well, gets on their regime of working out, goes to some of the races as well, and he's still racing dirt. He's still doing midgets and some dirt track racing. So he's got a very busy schedule as Brent Cruz, but if you're looking for the next potential, Daniel Suarez or whoever you can think of, or whoever I asked Ben Mayer, another youngster, who his favourites were, and he said, well, I've got 18 in NASCAR.
No, it's like You know, but what you're saying, NASCAR is doing the same thing that Formula One's done for years. IndyCar started probably about 10 years ago, and they have the Indy Lights, as they call it, or Indy Next right now, actually in Indy cars, and they've been doing the same thing, obviously, with the Xfinity Series. All these up-and-coming drivers, you need to be experienced when you get to the top levels because you need to be ready to go at that point in time.
As you can see, it's a rotten day at the office for Nathan Hearn. The Australian from New Queensland is back in the pits again. And so, yeah, I mean, once he went out the first time with that puncture, it was never going to be a big day. But, well, the traffic lights aren't working here. They are all green right now, and we're under yellow. So there you go.
Just a shot of the city. We're in downtown. Look at the Renaissance Center on the left-hand side. Very cool.
Oh, there's Slater's car coming back. Let's head down to Ben. He's got one of the engineers. What's the latest, Ben?
Jason Bowser, who's talking to Thomas Merrill. I did speak to Thomas before the race, and he was really upset. He could never get a flying lap in there, but now he's really moving up. And no offense, Jason Bowser, but you're kind of built like Bowser in Mario Kart. But what's your driver saying?
He ain't saying a whole lot right now. He's got a pretty good car. The brakes are going to be a big issue. I think it's a big issue for everybody. But so far, so good on that end. But, yeah, I think he thinks he has something for these two guys in front of us, so we're going to see. It's going to be a heck of a run. We got about 20 minutes left here. We're going to see what we got.
Now, Brent Cruz is up front. Thomas has one car between them, but if you remember at Nashville, the last race, when he had to come in and you guys had the ratchet strap repairs, would Thomas like to show Brent something here maybe in this next street race?
Probably not in this race. You see, we got a race tomorrow and stuff, so no, Thomas is by far not that guy, and he's just going to race him hard.
Perfect. Well, there you go. Some good information from Bowser. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Good work as ever, Ben. Thank you. And interesting to see, brakes. And explain that a little bit, because Merrill not complaining that he's got no brakes, but worried about that.
Well, and if the brakes start to get warm, the pedal starts to get long, and it's very difficult to be consistent where you want to brake, and especially on a bumpy race circuit when, you end up going an extra 6 feet deeper than you really wanted to, and then all of a sudden you can't get the car stopped, and either you end up grazing the outside wall, maybe like we saw Brent Cruz do, or maybe you end up going down the escape road. But we talked at the beginning of the show, the two limiting factors are going to be here. Number one, patience, not making a mistake. But it's tires and it's brakes, Johnny. And then I think that's why I'm so impressed right now with Rafa Matos. He's running behind. I don't think he's using up his car. He's using up equipment. You don't want to get too close because you're getting all that heat from the car in front. And so right now he's sitting back there. So will he go like we saw, I think, back at Sebring when he turned around and got the advantage on the restart and was in front and stayed there? Because maybe you want to go off and lead at this point in time. We're going to have just under 20 minutes when we go back to green. But there again, are we going to be green for the next 20 minutes, or will there be a caution? Street course racing is always wide open. We've seen that in every form that we've ever watched.
Yeah, and just to remind you, in Trans Am, we run to either a lap or a time. Now, there's 19 minutes left on the clock, and roughly 25 laps completed. So therefore, it looks as though we're going to be a timed race. In this respect. Let's head down again to Ben Sissel, because Nathan Hearn, who's been in the headlines throughout most of this race, is down in pit lane.
Well, I'm with Nathan Hearn all the way from Australia. And Nathan, I was giving you the advantage in this race with all your experience at Bathurst. This is probably nothing for you. What happened out there?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, I just clipped the inside wall. There's a leading edge on the wall. Obviously, in other categories, hit the concrete, and the leading edge is just enough just to slice my front tyre. And yeah, we were just beating around, and we weren't going to make up any points. So, better to stay safe. Hope Heaven's okay. That was a pretty nasty wreck, and yeah, just want to stay away from all the carnage. So, this track's very narrow. It's very hard to avoid it all. So, safe the cars in here.
Nice. Now, you're in the Cube 3 car. One of my favorite sponsors and marketing partners, Nick, right here with Cube 3. I know, Nick, you've got to be gutted. It's a good decision. But, Nick, as a sponsor in the TA2 series, we just want to say thank you so much for your support. And where in the world did you find this talent?
Well, we saw Nathan when we were down in Austin last year. He did a phenomenal race when he tried out with SMR, and we made a commitment to take him on this year. And we're still committed. We just had a bit of bad luck this weekend, no problem. And we made the decision to call it a day and make sure we're racing tomorrow. It's tough out there. There's a lot of incidents, and we don't want to be caught up in it. So we'll come back tomorrow with we got some good fast laps out there today, so we'll be in a good position.
And you should have a pretty fast lap out there that you're not starting in back. Let me explain that. Jonathan and Scott, you can go into this deeper, but it's based on their fastest lap. And you had some fast laps out there. That's how we're going to set the grid for tomorrow's race. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Yeah, we can follow up on that. Ben just saying, obviously, you know, let's just explain the rules, because Nathan did put some good times in there while out there. So for tomorrow's race, safety is the cautious thing to do, because he got some good laps in. The grid for tomorrow's race, which will be longer, 75 minutes, is based on the fastest laps of each of the drivers out there today. So, you know, Nathan Hearn could still be qualified quite well for tomorrow's race.
Well, from what I'm looking at right now, from my data, he's 10th on the grid for tomorrow. Now, guys might go quicker, so he might move back a little bit, but being in the top 10, it's still winnable by that point in time. We saw obviously Tad Moffitt right here getting, looks like maybe some more work done on the car. The shot previously, you saw all the work going on repairing that tire barrier. That's still the delay. They're saying maybe still another couple of laps before we return back to green.
Now, you being the typical racing driver you are, you already came up with a solution, which is if you had a problem, if you were racing in this race and you were Thad Moffitt or any of the guys, you might go out like Thad is going out now and try and put some new tires on, set a fastest lap, or at least set a lap that would put you high up the grid, regardless of where you finish.
And Nathan could have done that, except he mentioned he got some damage on the car.
Yeah.
So if you're way out and you're not going to get points or anything of that nature, come in, let your team send you out towards the back or a spacing in there where you can go and put about 4 or 5 great laps in, and maybe you end up on the front row because you got new tires in the car and take advantage of that. The car is light on fuel because you burn the fuel off throughout the race itself, and get yourself in a great spot for tomorrow's race. But obviously Nathan had some damage on the car. That can't happen for him, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
Is the car faster without as much fuel or not?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's definitely lighter. Obviously, the brakes are going to be a little bit warm, but new tires, as long as you get some clean laps and you've got the opportunity, maybe go and set a good flyer.
Well, this Clear Up crew know what they're doing. They've been doing many years at Belle Isle, so this isn't. It might be a new street race circuit for the first time that we've used this configuration, but there's no question that Detroit knows its Grand Prix, has had a constant presence in racing over the years, especially in IndyCar. We joined them this year. It's delightful to be part of the Indy field, and we'll do the same again at Nashville, another street race, Big Machine Vodka, Spiked Coolers, Nashville Grand Prix. Let's head down to Ben again. He's got Thad Moffitt's team. Let's see what the latest is.
So I'm with Scott Lagasse Jr. here with Thad Moffitt, the number 43. I've seen him come in twice. Seems like you did lefts and then you did rights. What's your strategy?
We brought him in quick. He had a tire go down on him or going down, so we wanted to try not to lose a lap, put one on it, get him back out there, and then now we put a set back on it so we can see what we can do here. So he's doing a hell of a job. He was driving forward. I hate that there's all these caution laps, and I hate for him that he had that problem. But
all right, well, Scott Lagasse, thank you. I think he got out there ahead of the pace car. So, gentlemen, back up to you for the restart of this race.
Nice, Ben. Thank you very much. We're still under caution here, but Scott, the latest, we think we're going green fairly soon.
Well, it sounds like it is. I'm listening to race control at the same time. They're trying to get that incident down there and fix the tires in turn 3 as much as possible. So I think we're going to have one more lap from what I was hearing. So the safety car will probably come in next time around. So the drivers know this because they're getting the information from the pit lane from their crew. So now you're going to start seeing them warming up tires, as you're starting to see. They'll all start to pack up a little bit more. What I'm going to be watching for is Rafa going to make this move when they get the restart coming down to turn 3. We've seen everybody really protective of the left-hand side of the track, driver's left going into turn 3. You don't want somebody sticking your nose underneath you going in there, because then if you lead coming out of 3, the turn that we're going into right now, then you've got a single shot getting to 4, 5, 6, and 7, and you're home clean.
Now, I thought that Brent Cruz would be a sitting duck after hitting that wall, but from what I've seen in the last few laps, he's showing as though his car is okay, and so therefore Matos has got his work cut out. I thought it was going to be easy for Matos to get by a wounded car, or at least a broken slightly car. There's Moffitt at the stop sign of the exit of pit lane, just in front of our commentary position, and he'll be, once that goes to green, he'll be allowed to get out there again. But you heard from Scott Lagasse, his team manager, what was going on with him. A few changes of tyres, but they're pleased with his progress at least. Lights are off on the safety car, which means that Brent Cruz will now lead them Now, it won't be the start-finish, so don't get too excited as they come out of 9, because we won't be restarting until we get on the back straight. That's for safety, because it's just too narrow through 1 and 2.
Way too narrow. Turn 1 is very tight, as we've seen before, but you give that long straightaway going down from out of 2, and then you have the start and restart line over there down the back stretch going into 3. What I'm going to be watching for when you talk about Brent Cruz is that, when he brushed that wall, we're yet to go back to green. So did he actually disturb the lineup on the car? Is there going to have power down issues, turning issues? We won't know until we get a couple of laps underneath this, but watch for him to go driver's left, which will be our right. I'd be protecting the inside here because Matos is going to take a shot at it.
I was going to say, would you, if you were Matos, would you try to jink to the outside and try and fool him, or how would you go?
And it helps sometimes because if Brent Cruz goes in a little bit too deep, then you duck underneath the inside.
Watch the man on the top right of your picture there, underneath that Chevrolet sign. The green flag waves. Cruz gets away, and he gets away well, the youngster. Just 14 years of age, but he is the future both of Trans Am and of potential motor racing anywhere in America, if not around the world. And he gets a flyer. Brilliantly done, and he's left them standing.
That was a brilliant restart. Absolutely.
Oh, a touch from Misha Goikberg, gets hit from behind. But Goikberg recovers. Lostowski it is who's behind him. Zilic on the move. He's got past Lostowski. How far can Zilic get, I wonder? He's in the top 10 now, having had the lead and then dropped back the pole man. So he's done a good job as Connor Zilic.
So Brent Cruz took a bit of a opportunity to stretch there.
Oh! Ty Young has tied himself in knots and the barrier. And that's a big hit again. And I hate to say it, but it could well be another safety.
Yeah.
11 minutes to go. We're still green at the moment.
So the question, did he do that by himself or get some help?
I don't know.
I'm going to say probably a little bit of help on that. So if he doesn't get out and get the thing going.
Zilic again, this time on Misha Goikberg. Zilic is flying. This is fantastic stuff by the young 16-year-old. And Zilic, remember, was pole here. He's now up to 7th place overall. Young's got out. Well, I think there's he's going to have to crab it, if you like, all the way to the pit lane. But he hasn't brought out the yellow flag, which is really good news. And that allows Merrill to think about a possible overtake on Matos, and likewise for Annunziata to try and get the hurry up. There he is, Annunziata. He's still got McAvern all over him in the closing stages of this one. They are fighting for top 10.
You know what I'm seeing right now is power down. You see the back end of the car starting to slide out a lot because the tires are starting to go. They're at the end of the life. Remember, we've had quite a few laps under full course caution, so otherwise the cars would be a lot worse. But, I mean, Brent Cruz getting complete. Oh, there we go. You can see the damage there on the 22. That was interesting.
Front right, locked up completely. But he's done a good job to get the car back in and out of harm's way. Ty Young out of this one for the Wealth Management team, the 22. But the race continues. This is the first of 2. This, the Motor City Challenge here at Detroit. Trans Am, round 5. The Big Machine, Vodka Spike Coolers, Trans Am Championship, and another hit, but Zilic, after all that good work, Zilic throws it into turn 1. And, well...
And that's the bumps, Johnny. You think you're just going to... Tires getting a little bit less grip right now, so when you go and land on the backside of the bumps, your car lands and you end up just not having enough grip to carry the car around the corner.
He's got a puncture front right. Oh, Cruz knocking out pieces of debris and dirt and pieces of car. Cruz, lead God gets the best view, but sometimes it can be the worst as well because he hits it first. Wow. Plenty of action and more to come. The 9-minute clock counting down, but who is going to win this race? We've had so much drama. Here's another bit of it. Zilic completely sideways out of 1. So, making his way back, the Chevrolet of Connor Zilic, trying to get back and get himself. We'll take a short break as he does the same after this. Well, as you can see, the car's getting a little leery and out of shape now. And quite rightly, Scott, you point out that the tyres starting to not give the grip that they had early on in the race. Where will Matos make a move? Where would you make a move if you were Matos?
And that's what I'm just watching here right now. The car that's getting a little bit squirrely is the front car of Brent Cruz, the guy that's picture perfect right now, not making the car go sideways and wearing the tires out, is Rafa. So I'm going to say that if he's got the speed out of the car, he's sitting back there waiting for an opportunity.
Well, Rafa needs a win. He lost out at Lime Rock and lost the championship lead, knocked him down to 4th position because he got an infringement as well after passing on the yellow or not slowing down enough. And so Rafa really got his tail up for a win. He won the first race of the year at Sebring, and remember, lost the championship by just a count back to Thomas Merrill last season. So he really is got the bit between his teeth for another win this year, and he's been so good. In comes Zilic, as you can see. They'll change the tyre, and he may just put out some new tyres and try and go for a fast lap. That's what we were talking about earlier, but a real shame for Zilic. He'd done all the hard work to get up to a top 6 position, and then it all comes to naught. Merrill losing out now as these two starting to pull away, starting to stretch their legs in the closing 7 minutes. Merrill, I don't think, unless there's another caution, is going to be able to catch him. Annunziata and Dylan McAvern may just catch Merrill, though, to turn 1.
Interesting for me to watch that last time going to turn 3. Look at the different line that Brent Cruz takes over Rafa Matos, because it looks like maybe going through turn 3, he's found a smoother area to go in through, and we're going towards turn 3 right now. He's doing a little bit of an alternate line to try and break free of the draft and let Rafa not, and he got a good drive down out of 2 and that going to there. But look at the line. He's got, he's a bit wider this time and more in the bumps. He was a little bit inside last time, so just interesting to see the different lines from everybody going in through the turns.
Goikberg and Lostowski starting to catch up a little bit and may just make a move before the end of this race. And Annunziata is the one that concerns me. I've got a feeling. Whoa, Gallagher! It's a little touch of Justin Marks. That was a good catch. Justin Marks just behind him, hardly mentioned him, the Trackhouse owner for NASCAR, winner last time out at Lime Rock in TA. As Zilic gets back out, it'll be interesting to see. I'll put you on a watch of Zilic's lap times in the last 5 minutes, because he's back out on track. He can't win this race by any means, but he can put himself in a good position if he gets a decent lap time and put himself in a position to start tomorrow's race where he wants to be. This has been an interesting battle between the 2-time champion and the youngster Brent Cruz. 4 wins for Brent Cruz so far in his young Trans Am career, and Rafa Matos started winning back in 2018. He was an IndyCar rookie champion. He was an Indy Lights champion rookie as well, Rafa Matos. He's raced the streets of Detroit before, for sure, certainly at Belle Isle. But now he's got this youngster. And Merrill now under big trouble. Merrill under big pressure for Annunziata, the young 16-year-old from California, on the march in 4th position. So then, plenty more action to come from this last 5 minutes. But who's going to win this race? We wait with bated breath. So it's all going on here. What a race we've got around the streets of the Motor City. Just what Chevrolet wanted. We are racing right underneath the GM buildings, and around we go yet again. But it's Brent Cruz who leads at the moment from Rafa Matos, and this has been a to and fro throughout most of this race. But there's battles, as you can see, Scott. Oh, Zilic has gone off again. He just came back out, Scott.
Well, he came out with new tires, and we were talking about making a fast lap in this race. It sets the grid for tomorrow, but by the stats that I have right now, Johnny, Zilic is already going to be on pole from a lap that he turned earlier in the race from my calculations. So did he need to go out there and maybe set a lap? Possibly not, but maybe scrubbing tires in for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, no question. Well, it's certainly been a Ford Mustang day, because they are right there in the top 8 positions. In fact, the first Chevrolet is Ben Mayer, the young 14-year-old. So flying the flag for the blue, for the bow ties at the moment. And Merrill under pressure from Annunziata, as you can see in the white there, the number 90, putting the big hurt on Thomas Merrill. But then again, Merrill, the champion, won't be intimidated by this.
Just love watching the cars go through this section.
Yeah.
We talked about it, so bumpy. That we call the ski jump there, going through turns 6 and 7, coming out of there, and you can see the downhill. The car falls away from you there. The road cambers off. Power down is like a huge issue for everybody, including the IndyCar guys. Going through 8 now, head towards 9. That dual lane pit lane is just there on your right-hand side. The finish line is on this stretch here, so this is where they're going to be racing to, right there for the finish.
Well, then NASTA also coming up on traffic as well, so that's a problem as well for the leaders. But as you can see, Merrill doing a really good job as he exits too. Now the long straight. This is where Annunziata will try and get a bit of a slipstream, try to tuck himself behind and look for a way past at turn 3. Don't think he's close enough. Look at the lead that Brent Cruz has built in the last few minutes.
Yeah.
He is way ahead now of Rafa Matos.
He's turning laps. That last lap was just under a half a second quicker than Rafa, so it looks like now he's built himself a 2-second gap. And maybe he just left enough for the brakes and tires on the car, and then he sat up on the wheels, we called it, just to set some time here. Now that we're just under 3 minutes, knows that the checker's very close.
There's Darren Mott making up a spot, the number 51. Good to see another one of our youngsters going so well. But he's in a good battle with the 75. And they're not giving each other any room. Ben Mayer, of course, another youngster, and is the top Chevrolet, so he won't want to give up a position at the moment to the man behind him, that's for sure. Back comes Zilic. It's been a rotten day for Connor Zilic, but he'll regroup. Maurice Hull, his team manager, I'm sure will have a word. Brent Cruz, though, on his way to victory. His mum's here, his stepdad's here. It's a family affair for the Cruz family. They are very, very loyal to him, and he has paid them back with fantastic results. And this would be his 5th Trans Am win. But I think one of the most special, because it's never easy at a new circuit where you've got no data, where the team really can't help you, and it is up to the driver's skills, isn't it?
All comes down to, as you say, patience, taking care of tires, and also taking care of the brakes. And the young gun, as we say it, the 15-year-old right now, has been very impressive, because it's not easy sometimes when you're young to make sure you're conserving the car.
Annunziata now under pressure from Dylan McIvern. McIvern taking a slightly different line, trying to do every which way to get up on level terms with him. It's just so few places to overtake. It's going to be the white flag next time by, and it's been an intriguing start to the weekend, and it's only just begun. We've got double the fun, Scott, this weekend, because we do it all again tomorrow.
So all these drivers right now understand from their teams where they are in the grid for tomorrow. When we talked about that, we know that right now we got Connor Zilic running in the front, but Brent Cruz looks like he's going to start right behind him on the front row tomorrow, along with Mike Skeen and Rafa on the second row. So it's going to be interesting to see for that race again tomorrow, just how that's going to play out. This is so neat to have 2 races in the same weekend, the back end starting to step out, as we talked about with all these guys. These things are a beast to drive. As you know, there's no driver age in these cars that we talked about before, just like 550 horsepower on these cars, and so much horsepower you can spin the tires if you want. And like I always like, the traction control is really in your right foot, Johnny. So
yeah.
And you have to do that throughout the whole hour of event.
Annunziata is still looking as though he might try to make a move on Merrill, but he's running out of corners. Into turn 4 they go. Last lap then. Brent Cruz leads the way. We're watching this intriguing battle for the podium. Annunziata in 4th. Merrill, the championship leader, trying to hold him off in 3rd position. Meanwhile, Brent Cruz has got a good substantial lead over Rafa Matos, and that's how it's going to end. 2 corners to go then. But the leader here in Motown, it's been some absolute Motown magic for Brent Cruz. He's going to cruise to victory here out of turn 9. And the winner is Brent Cruz. He crosses the line to victory down Franklin Road, and it is the Franklin Road sponsored man who's going to win here. Well done to Brent Cruz. He wins in the number 70 for Nitro Motorsports. What a day for him. What a day for Nitro Motorsports. Absolutely excellent. Matos takes 2nd place for the three-dimensional services group. The Michigan company that, of course, have sponsored the Muscle Car Challenge. Cruz waves to the marshals and the fans and takes their adoration for what has been a brilliant run. And Thomas Merrill will take 3rd position and extend his lead in the championship. But with Cruz and Matos there, it's going to be interesting going in to the next race tomorrow. We'll take a short break from Detroit. What a race. Join us after this. You got to be happy for Brent. I mean, he really played that well. I mean, just the monkey mind. You know, you hit the wall like that, and you're wondering whether you've got the car.
Yeah. And I thought he would have a power down problem, but a couple laps into it, he was fine.
That was impressive. And I tell you what, you know, Scott, you know, you're a historian like myself, and you study of the sport. It's days like this when you go, do you remember when Brent Cruz won in Detroit?
Yeah.
And now look at him doing what Chase Elliott or so many others are doing. And he could literally, at 15, he could do anything.
Well, if you think about IndyCar, Detroit, Elio Castroneves got his first win here, climbed the fence for the very first time.
You can't think that Chip Ganassi's not looking at this guy, or I don't know, Bobby Rahal, anybody. They're all watching him. And I tell you what, one happy man is going to be both Nitro Motorsport Tuckers are here, and of course, Ken Thwaites from Franklin Road Apparel. That's a great result for them. So well done to Brent Cruz coming out of the number 70.
Talked about a little bit of the rub of Brent Cruz's car, but what's interesting there is the cars are all really in perfect shape, ready for tomorrow. That tells you experience and did a great job on the racetrack.
So, all congratulations. You can see the Toyota logo on his
the front
helmet, just
chin of his helmet, yep.
And it's on the back of the car as well. There we see him. Got the braces on. Hey, kids, if you're watching, you too can live the dream. It's right in front of you. 15 years of age and already a mature and absolutely focused professional racing driver. The smile says it all. He's still a kid after all. But well done to him, and I know his parents will be absolutely tickle-pink to see him in winner's circle. This is such a big stage.
A lot bigger smile now than when I talked to him right after he got out of the car to qualifying. He was not a happy camper.
There's Thomas Merrill out of the car in the 26, and I'm sure he'll be pleased for him because there's a great camaraderie. There's Rafa Matos out of his car in the 88. So that's your top three. They'll go down to winner's circle, but that concludes our coverage of the first race anyway. And don't forget, we're going to be back again tomorrow for another longer race, in fact. And what's by your rough assumptions? Who's going to be up the front?
From what we see right now, Connor Zilic will be on pole. In the front row will be Brent Cruz, and then Mike Skeen and Rafa Matos in row 2. Robert Noraker and Thomas Merrill will be on the third row. That's your top 6.
So, in a moment, we will head down to Ben Sissel. Brent Cruz has won in Detroit City. He is the Motown Magic Man. Let's head down to Ben Sissel.
2 street courses in a row. Unbelievable. How does it feel?
I mean, this wouldn't be possible without our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I just want to say thank you to this whole Franklin Road Apparel crew. Everybody at Nitro just did an incredible job. To be able to hold pace like that and go faster our last couple laps it's incredible, and it wouldn't be possible without this whole crew. I want to thank my whole family for everything they've done for me, getting me here. Ken Thwaites and Franklin Road Apparel for getting me on this race car. I mean, this thing just looks beautiful. I want to thank everybody at Brembo, this whole crew, and I want to thank Tony Perella and everybody at this series. This is an incredible series, and it's not often that you get to come to an amazing street course like this and be able to race with IndyCar. It's just incredible.
Nice. And Roger Penske, thank you very much. But unfortunately, this young man right here just signed a deal with Toyota. So Toyota, if you're watching, nice job. This is a ton of talent here in Brent Cruz. But then we're going to come over here, second place, Rafa Matos. Here, there's Tony Perella to congratulate the winner there. Former TA2 champion Mark Miller to give Rafa congratulations. But here we go, Rafa. I know you weren't really happy with your qualifying, but here representing Three-Dimensional Services Group, what a finish.
It was a great result for the 88 Three-Dimensional Service Group car. You know, like I said, this is a very important weekend for us. Doug Peterson and his company, Three-Dimensional Service Group, are sponsoring the race, and to get a top finish here was very, very important for us. We have a lot of guests here, and, you know, couldn't be more proud of my team. Obviously, we were aiming for the P1 position. We were suffering a little bit with the brakes towards the end. My brakes were fading away, so I had to choose between finishing the race or running out of brakes. So it was a good finish indeed.
Nice. I love it. Rafa Matos, a 2-time Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series champion. We're going to go to last year's champion in third place, and I spoke to Thomas here before the race. You weren't happy with your qualifying, but, man, you got to be happy with the machine now.
Absolutely, yeah. With qualifying, we just didn't get lucky with the traffic, and we weren't able to show everything that we had. So fortunately, you know, kudos to the Detroit Grand Prix organizers for putting together a great racetrack. You know, it's not often you can see that much passing on a street course. So fortunately, we used that to our advantage to move up the field. And man, it was hot out there. I was talking to these other guys, and none of us really had a brake pedal there at the end. We were all tapping the brakes on the straightaways to make sure we could make each corner. And happy to see the checkered flag there. But big thanks to the Cope crew and Bennett and HP Tuners for getting us here.
Nice. And now before we go, I just want to say a huge thank you to the Detroit Grand Prix, Roger Penske, the IndyCar Series. It is not lost on us, the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, how special it is for us to be here. Thomas, I know that you agree with that. Tony Perella, I'm sure you agree with that. We're just thanking the Detroit GP for bringing us here. What a great show your series put on for everybody.
It's just such a privilege to be here, Ben. I mean, Motor City speaks for itself, American muscle. To have Trans Am back and the first time coming back here to the street side. Belle Isle was special, but this is pretty cool. I thought the drivers overall did a good job. It's not an easy course, obviously, but they guys like Thomas, it doesn't get better than that. It's good to be here.
Perfect. Well, we are racing again tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, is a 75-minute race, but IndyCar, Roger Penske, Chevrolet, the city of Detroit. So honored to be here. Thank you so much from the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. All the great fans, make sure you stay tuned tomorrow. But Jonathan, I'm going to send it back to you for the results.
So, confirmation of the results then. Brent Cruz for Ford wins for the Franklin Road Mobil 1 Gear Wrench team. An excellent victory over Rafa Matos, two-time champion, and our current champion in third place, Thomas Merrill. And Unciata in fourth position, holding off Dylan McAvern. Noaker in sixth place, Goikberg seventh, Lostowski eighth, and Darren Mock ninth position, and Ben Mayer, another youngster, and the first of the Chevrolets in 10th position. 11th, Caleb Bacon, Buford, Marks, Gallagher, Barry Bowes from Austin, Texas in 15th, Sargé 16th, Austin Green all the way down in 17th, having qualified so well. Doug Peterson, the Master, I think he's won the Masters in 18th position. Tom Sheehan in 19th, Lundberg in 20th. And a little further down, Michelle Abate, you saw her get in trouble, but she did a good job, actually, of finishing 21st and keeping going, more importantly. Raymond Moffitt, Zilich, well, what a day for him. He'll rue the fact that he hit the wall as many times as he did. Young, Perrant, Hearn, also likewise keeping his car safe. Slater, Skeen, and that's how it finished with all 29. It's been a fantastic, great start to the day. Don't forget, you'll be able to see all the highlights of both races on Thursday, June 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV, and we welcome our viewers live on MAV TV today. Scott, final thoughts from you on what has been an interesting day.
You know, as a driver, you've learned a lot today, and you're going to sit back with your crew chief and your engineer, and what do you want to change for tomorrow? Obviously, we think Rafa's had some speed, but has some brake issues towards the end. They'll work to cure that for tomorrow. But Brent Cruz, I mean, picture perfect right from the very beginning all the way through. He looks like he's going to be on point tomorrow to have another great start. But, you know, the front row, as we mentioned, with Connor Zillage and what have you, I got to believe that we're going to see some more young guns go after it. And if we can watch and see guys like Rafa Matos sit back and just be relaxed and patient, maybe he takes a shot at it, because, you know, he's chomping for a win here because he's fallen back a little bit in the championship here, and he's a contender for the overall win for the end of the year. So they'll have a lot of work to do tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we have for tomorrow on day 2.
All right, my thanks to Scott Goodyear. I'm Jonathan Green. It's been a great start to the weekend, and it's double the fun because we'll be back here tomorrow for another big race around the streets of Detroit. But congratulations to Brent Cruz. We'll see you tomorrow. How good is this? Look at this view from Lostowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
Speed turn, 140 mile an hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the VBox HD2 system.
I'm Richard Petty, and you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor. Give Clean Harbors a call.